Hi, I'm Dr. Rob, and I wanted to welcome you to my next whiteboard session, Dr. Rob's whiteboard session. Today's topic is lowering the belly fat hormone. So many of you have heard of the name of this belly fat hormone. It's called cortisol. So let's take a look at this and what we can do to lower it and really what causes its elevation. So first off, cortisol is a hormone that's made in the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are two triangular shaped glands that sit directly above the kidneys. And there's certain things in life that will cause the adrenals to overproduce cortisol. First thing is, cortisol is known as the anti-stress hormone. So if there's things in your life that are absolutely causing stress, like if your job is just driving you crazy, or if you're hanging out with the wrong people, right? Sometimes not even wrong people, sometimes it's that wrong person. Maybe a family member, maybe a friend, quote unquote friend, but it's that wrong person. They can definitely cause stress on your body and they can elevate your cortisol levels. The adrenal glands are also the anti-inflammatory glands of the body, and cortisol, known as hydrocortisone, or cortisone is what it gets converted into, is a very anti-inflammatory hormone. So when there's things in the body that produce inflammation, then that has a tendency to elevate your cortisol levels. So let's take a look at some of these things. In the intestinal tract, parasites, yeast, fungi, food sensitivities, basically anything that could inhabit the intestinal tract, too much bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria, general inflammatory conditions that affect the GI tract, too much acid, not enough acid, enzyme deficiency, all those type of things can cause inflammation in the intestinal tract. Now, keep in mind, cortisol is the anti-inflammatory hormone. So if there's something wrong in your gut that's producing inflammation, your body naturally wants to elevate the cortisol level to help reduce the inflammation in the gut. Normal response, right? So the problem is, if this never gets handled, meaning if the person walks around with fungi and yeast and parasites and overgrowth of bad bacteria in the GI tract, or enzyme deficiencies, so the food is just rotting in the gut and forming toxic inflammatory matter, then those are always going to be a stress to the adrenals, and the cortisol is always going to be high. And this could be a hidden source of weight issues for a person. So you have to know how to test for that and really how to evaluate it. Stool studies can be okay. I've done all different types of holistic stool studies through all different types of companies throughout the country for years. I've actually found a unique test that we run in our office to be great for these type of things as a first stage analysis. We could pick up the energetic presence of parasites and yeast and fungi, bacteria, too much bad bacteria, all different types of things. So this test that I've actually had to develop in my office is really great for that, for checking that. And we see patients all over the country, so if there's some type of problem that you have, you could always call us and we can help. But regardless, there's these different things here. Other things that increase cortisol: over-exercising. So when a person's exercising too much for their body, the exercise then becomes a stress. It's no longer a stress reducer, and the person's body then, or your body, has to respond to the stress by elevating cortisol, because cortisol is also an anti-stress hormone. So over-exercising, not exercising right for your body type, or for your body kind, your body shape, your body imbalances. Certain problems in a person's body require different types of exercise. Like if someone's diabetic, they should do one type of exercise that's better for them, that's not going to shoot their cortisol up. You shoot cortisol up in a diabetic, it can also raise their blood sugar and create more inflammation and create more belly fat. So there's certain ways a diabetic should exercise. There's certain ways a person with adrenal fatigue should exercise. There's a certain way people that have liver issues should exercise, or thyroid issues, or problems with their pituitary, and so on and so forth. So you got to exercise right for your body type or for your body. If you exercise too much, again, you're going to push that cortisol up. Toxins in the body can cause elevation of cortisol, especially when they cause inflammation. Heavy metals, or not the music, but the actual, mercury, lead, those type of things. Certain deficiencies in the body will cause the adrenals to overproduce cortisol, and general inflammation, like from injuries, past traumas, those type of things will elevate your cortisol levels. So what does elevated cortisol do in the body? This is what it does. Some of the things: causes belly fat, reduces your sleep, so it messes up your sleep, increases your irritability. Cortisol actually breaks down a part of the brain called the hippocampus, which can affect your mood and emotion. So it can make you more irritable, your fuse can become shorter, things like that. Anxiety, it can increase your food cravings, it can increase your appetite. But the thing we're talking about today is really belly fat. And cortisol will deposit that fat right around the midsection and cause you to have more of that spare tire type of appearance. And it'll be often hard to lose. It'll be often hard to lose. So, handlings, what can we do to handle this? Well, the first thing and the most important thing is you got to get yourself checked, right? If there's something wrong inside your body, like a parasite, yeast, fungus, toxin, food sensitivity, deficiency, whatever it is that's driving your cortisol levels up, weight loss for you, especially the belly fat weight loss, is going to be an uphill battle. You're going to always be struggling with weight. Your weight, you will lose weight and then gain weight and lose weight and then gain weight, and you'll yo-yo all over the place simply because if this hormone, cortisol, stays elevated, it wants to keep you in a fat storing state. So you can force your body to try to lose weight, and it will for a time, but generally because that hormone stays high, you're going to put it back on. So we want to first test the body. As I said, I love the test that I developed in our office. I think it's great for identifying those things that can go wrong in a person's body that increase inflammation. It's a really cool test. I won't get into explaining it, but in any event, so finding the thing that's wrong in the body that's causing the elevated cortisol, that's the first and most important thing. Some herbs and nutritional products that a person can do. Ashwagandha can be effective in some people for helping to lower cortisol. Phosphatidylserine can be a good one. Rhodiola. There's a formula called Adrenal HB that can support the adrenal glands. It doesn't really lower cortisol, but it helps the adrenal glands balance the other hormones, which can bring down cortisol. So eating a diet with lots of vegetables in it. Vegetables like oxygenate the blood, and they help to kind of reduce stress from the body. They're high in minerals, high in calcium, high in magnesium, all of which are calming to the adrenal glands and help to reduce cortisol. Making sure you're on a good multi-mineral supplement with plenty of calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc can also help. Making sure you're eating some type of protein about every 2 to 3 hours. And the reason why is cortisol is responsible for elevating your blood sugar in between meals. So like when you're without food, I shouldn't say elevating, just keeping it keeps your cortisol keeps your blood sugar in a normal range in between meals. So when there's no food there or carbohydrate to raise your blood sugar, your adrenals have to produce extra cortisol to help bring the blood sugar up, because that's one of the effects of cortisol. So if a person's eating once every 5 hours or once every 6 hours, or they eat breakfast at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., lunch at 1 p.m., dinner at 6 p.m., there's too much space in between that. If you had liver problems, that might be a great way to eat. But with too much cortisol, the extra space in between meals is going to force the adrenals to over elevate your cortisol. So it's better to break those 3 big meals down into 5 smaller meals, eating every 2 to 3 hours, because then you're naturally bringing your blood sugar back up with food, and your adrenals don't have to overproduce cortisol in order to do that. So that's a good thing to do. Deep breathing. So deep breathing, especially in the evenings, can be great to help reduce cortisol. The one that I like the best is 5 seconds in through your nose, pause for a second, 5 to 8 seconds out. That's a great thing to do. You can do that for 2 to 3 minutes before bed. I've done it in the past. It's nice just to help to calm the body. Stretching, especially in the evening, stretching like mild yoga, relaxation, all those things can do that. Mental change of behavior. And what I mean by that is just, stop getting so mad at things. And I understand things can really aggravate you from time to time, but just try to look at them from a different viewpoint. Try to look at all the things in life that we have to be grateful for. The simple fact that we're here breathing is an incredible, amazing thing. So just changing your view on life can help some, because it will reduce the that will push your cortisol levels up. and contribute to your belly fat. So basically, cortisol is nasty when you have too much of it because it makes our bellies fat, and that's not cool. In addition to that, it causes a whole other slew of health issues, including sleep problems and irritability. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is really figuring out what's stressing your body. And the thing I love the most for that, I'm sorry guys, but it's the lab that we run in our office. So, but any other testing that you could do, if you work with naturopaths or holistic oriented MDs throughout the country, or chiropractors that are holistically oriented, any of those guys can potentially help with identifying the elevation in cortisol. So that was another one of Dr. Rob's whiteboard sessions. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day, have a healthy day, and I don't know, be cool.